Hi everybody, welcome back to Ox Talks. It is Monday, November 20th, 2023. Hope you're having a good start to the week so far. I appreciate the support on the channel right now. Appreciate all the views you guys gave on the last video and the comments you made. I appreciate the engagement. So if you're liking the content and the videos, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the videos as well, and also let's share the videos, spread it as far and wide as you can with family and friends on your social media. Let's get the word out in connection with myself and others that are on this platform, trying to wake people up. Based upon the stories I'm going to share with you today, we are continuing to head into rough waters with this economy and with the consumer. So again, thank you for the support on the channel. For those of you that were hoping that I would come out today and report some good news, some happy thoughts, guess what? I've got some bad news for you. The information that came out today across a couple of different news sources continues to highlight that people are broke. The consumers are suffering, and this is going to continue to, in my opinion, translate into a degeneration of our society and everything around us. I just received an article. I go into a Starbucks in the morning to pick up a coffee. Don't hate me on the Starbucks, that's my thing, I get it, but I go into the Starbucks every day to grab a coffee. I just usually walk in, pick up my coffee, and then jump back in the car and head to the office. But I guess this morning, about an hour and a half after I was at this location, a guy came in there wielding a knife. Police were called, they showed up with weapons drawn, the place was sealed off. I guess the guy ended up stabbing himself or something, and they hauled him off. Anyway, we're going to start seeing more of this stuff progress with just everyday people, because I believe the stress levels for a lot of people are going to get too much to handle, and you're going to start seeing more of this type of stuff happen. So, obviously be aware of what's happening around you. Try not to put yourself into vulnerable situations. Hopefully, if you're able to have certain tools with you legally in your jurisdiction, you are doing that. And with that being said, let me get to a couple of the news stories I saw today. The first one was out of CNBC, and it says 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck heading into the holidays, this report finds. And it says, although inflation is cooling, I doubt that. I would take that with a grain of salt. It says, although inflation is cooling, households are still feeling squeezed. As of October, 60% of adults said they are living paycheck to paycheck, according to a new Lending Club report. The figure is unchanged from last year. Overall, 4 in 10 consumers consider themselves worse off relative to 2022, the report found. And it says, even as credit card debt tops $1 trillion, almost all, or 96%, of shoppers said they expect to overspend this season, according to a separate TD Bank survey. And it says half of consumers plan to take on more debt to pay for holiday expenses. Another report by Ally Bank found only 23% have a plan to pay it off within 1 to 2 months. And it says some 74% of Americans say they are stressed about finances, according to a separate CNBC Your Money Financial Confidence survey conducted in August. This is while consumers have found a way to manage through inflation, it's concerning that many plan to tap into savings and even exceed their budgets to finance their holiday purchases, which may leave them vulnerable to an unexpected emergency, said Elia Dudum, Lending Club's money expert. This kind of information, number one, the statistics are sad. They are the reality. They're going in the wrong direction. But people have to change their habits. They have to change their mindset regarding spending. You can't do the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different result. And if your plan is to go out and jack up your credit cards over the holidays to buy things that you can't afford, that's on you. And you're going to, again, I'm not giving financial advice here, but I'm saying we all need to think this through and not overextend. And no matter what the size of the purchase is, everyone has their own threshold. Don't do it. It's not going to end well. You're going to end up paying interest on whatever you spend on those cards unless you pay them off immediately. And this article said most people aren't planning to do that, and most people are planning to get into more debt than they know they should be getting into. So people, you've got to change your own financial habits, your spending habits. Just because there's more credit limit available on that card doesn't mean that you should use it. Credit card usage is borrowing money at high interest rate that needs to be repaid, or it's going to strangle you. So I sure hope that doesn't turn out in hindsight to be what's going to happen. But the way the average American thinks with regard to using credit cards and borrowing money, I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out to be totally accurate in hindsight. And we see credit card debt even higher than it is now. And we see defaults higher than they are now, and we're going to see bankruptcies higher than they are now. We're going to see credit scores plunging more than they already are now. Next article, Zero Hedge, similar theme, but again, it came across a different feed. I wanted to bring it to your attention. Zero Hedge says, yes, Americans are struggling financially. Just ask these folks. And these are a couple of stories that are different than overusing credit cards and driving yourself into unnecessary debt. These stories are from people that literally are working all the hours they can. They're barely making ends meet. They're barely being able to put food on the table for their families. They're living paycheck to paycheck, not because they're overspending, but because the cost of everything has gone up so much, and with the inflation, and they're just having a very, very difficult time. For those people, obviously, what do? You've got to just stay the course, do the best you can. As long as you're making the best decisions that you can and using the resources you have in the most wise and mature manner with regard to expenditures, that's all you can do. If you're able to pay off some of the debts you have with a few extra dollars, then, do it. More importantly, try not to get into more debt or new debt. But look, end of the day, putting food on the table for your family and supporting your family is the obviously what we all strive to do. Those of you that are in even a worse situation where you're having to tap credit cards to buy food, I feel for you, I pray for you, and all I can say is maybe you could explore some alternative sources of revenue streams, some side gigs or something to try to bridge that gap, so at least you're not going further into the hole every month. This article says, Oscar Taylor is scrambling to cover household expenses for the first time in his adult life. He says, it's gotten so dismal that my wife is planning on looking for work after the new year. He said his wife hasn't had to work a job since the birth of their first child nearly 7 years ago. Sioux Falls has additional challenges. This is where this gentleman lives. The city has a population of about 200,000 people, said Mr. Taylor, and it's been hit hard by a slew of layoffs. This is compounded by the ever-increasing prices of grocery staples like eggs, milk, and bread. Mr. Taylor says some everyday items have nearly doubled in price over the past few years, and wages simply are not keeping up, he says. And we all know that to be accurate. It says the Taylor family isn't alone in the struggle. One survey noted 70% of Americans are feeling stressed about their personal finances, and an August analysis that revealed that 54% of mothers have a hard time finding a job that accommodates the dual task of raising children. Quote, we have had to make the choice, pay our bills or save money. We've obviously chosen to pay our bills. but she says I had to stop contributing to our retirement fund for the time being. So again, if you're in that situation, you do have to make that difficult choice. And those aren't the people that are out swiping their credit cards, buying a bunch of unnecessary luxury items, and I get that. It says 1 in every 3 U.S. workers says they're significantly behind on retirement savings, according to a September Bankrate analysis. Nearly a quarter of Americans couldn't contribute to their retirement savings at all in 2022 or 2023. And the article also addresses small businesses and the failure rate of small businesses. I'm out here all the time preaching, try to start a business of your own, try to start a side hustle. But I've also said, look, at a large percentage of businesses don't make it. If you don't try, you're never going to know. So I still think that obviously on balance, you've got to make that effort if you can, if your skill set allows you to do it, if you can find something that creates some extra revenues on the weekends or whatever it is, now's the time to consider that. But this says small businesses are considered a barometer for measuring the economic health of a nation. The Biden administration announced more than 10 million applications for new small businesses between 2021 and 2022. Yet, as with most numbers, it doesn't capture the reality for many business owners. Last year, high inflation threatened to close 65% of American small businesses. Even with lower inflation this year, more than half of U.S. business owners say it remains their number one challenge. It says, to be sure, the high inflation for the past 2 years plus has done lots of economic damage. Mark Zondi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics, posted on X recently. And he says, in July of this year, the average American household spent $202 more than in July of 2022, and a staggering $709 more than July 2021. It says research shows that 43% of U.S. adults have enough in a savings account or don't have enough in a savings account to cover a $1,000 emergency bill. In August, 61% of adults said they're barely making it between pay periods, according to a CNBC poll of 4,000 people. So, again, is it good news? No. Is it reality? Yes. I've received several comments from people saying, you and your friend JB, all you do is talk about negative stuff. What are we supposed to do? Again, I preach the same theme, which is it's better off to be awake and not have your head buried in the sand. Those people are going to for sure get wiped out. At least the people that try to understand what's happening and what's coming can do their best to prepare for it. And again, everyone's going to be on a different level. If you're flush with cash, if you're making a good living, if your debt's low and you're able to deploy capital into investments, into the stock market, into other assets like gold and silver, which I'm a big fan of, then that's great. But for the vast majority of the regular people, that's simply not the case. Again, case in point, the stock market rocketed higher today. I see that the U.S. index is down. That probably contributed to it. The 10-year seems to be a little bit subdued as well. But if you were looking at the stock market as a barometer of what's happening in this country, you would be severely misled, and you would be kidding yourself as to what's really happening behind the scenes with people. And so, with that being said, what's the solution? Again, if you're flush with cash and you're one of the top percentage people, then this probably doesn't apply to you. But for the vast majority, if we look at these articles here and what's actually happening, what do you do? Well, like we talked about, you stop making stupid decisions on how you spend money. You don't over encumber. You don't go take on a car payment now at 8 or 9 or 10% that you simply can't afford because you want to be cool or show off to your friends. You don't buy unnecessary gifts for the holidays that, after the gifts are opened and they get tossed, in the pile with all the other gifts, they're forgotten about. I'm not saying don't enjoy Christmas. I'm not saying giving gifts is not important. It certainly is. But you've got to live within your means when doing so. If you've got a bunch of cash, look, I just saw an article today. Warren Buffett company has built a record $157 billion cash pile. So he can capitalize when the economy tanks. It says the company's cash pile grew in part, though, because Buffett and his team sold $5 billion worth of stocks on a net basis last quarter, and they've now offloaded a net $44 billion of stocks over the last 4 quarters combined. And this it says this is classic Buffett. Hankey, a professor of applied economics at Johns Hopkins University, told Markets Insider in a recent interview, quote, he loves to fish in troubled waters. So look, you've got top guys sound the alarm. And for those people that, again, they're able to put aside some resources and wait, be patient, there's going to be, from my perspective, a lot of opportunities to scoop up. Obviously, in the real estate market, commercial real estate for sure, probably the auto market, certainly I believe the stock market. So hopefully, you know, this is constructive. Hopefully it's informative to all of you, whatever level you're at. We all have to make this work. And, you know, I'm here every day working, 8-10 hour days, 6-7 days a week, to make sure that I don't fall into, a debt trap, to make sure that I'm doing the best I can to provide for my family and have backup, have dry powder, whether it's to cover an emergency unforeseen, whether it's to cover an elderly parent that, that becomes ill that you have to contribute to their living costs for, or their medical bills. Or even if it's just, hey, you're fine on those things never happen, but you want to swoop up some real estate maybe in the next year or two when it becomes available at bargain prices. So look where you're at in the spectrum. Hopefully you've enjoyed the content. I'll leave it there. It's a couple minutes longer than I usually go. I'm going to go get my workout here in about an hour. I hope you guys do the same thing today. Get your workout in, get your steps in, get a half an hour of cardio in, bang out some push-ups, some sit-ups, drink your water. Again, the mental, the physical health, the physical conditioning, being in shape, these things are becoming increasingly important as we embark on these murky waters. So with that being said, have a great evening. I will talk to all of you tomorrow. Bye.